Yo, what's up, guys? I wanted to just put out a quick last minute 3.17 video covering the basic differences between the Ascendancy choices for EA Ballista, one of the more meta builds this league, because if you're like me, you have this internal debate about what you want to play up until the very last minute of the league starts. So here I am to help you ease your mind, because I spent a lot of time debating this, and I'm not going to present any specific data or evidence, just basic POV stuff and a conversation about the pros and cons. But you know, if you have any data or anything that proves me wrong, just let me know. I'd love to hear it. Here we go. Let's start with the Elementalist. So this is pretty simple, right? If you're playing softcore, play an Elementalist. Basically, you sacrifice like 900 to 1,000 life for more than twice the damage, with the potential to scale much further. Like, I'm looking at this number here. I am a SSF HC player, so when I see 5.2 million ignite DPS with very realistic gear, by the way, all these POVs are using the exact same gear, but this is mostly a compilation of Zizzarin's POVs and Tuna's POV. But that is an insane amount of damage to me. I know the softcore trade players are probably like, oh, that's nothing. And I'm sure it's not. You know, I'm sure you could probably scale this well into the 20 millions if you wanted to. But this is an insane amount of damage. As with the other versions of EA, Elementalist still gets Grace, Determination, Defiance Banner, and Spell Suppression, the trinity of OP defenses in 3.17, which is a lot for softcore. I think I haven't played softcore in a while, but if I had this character in softcore, it would probably be one of the tankiest characters I've ever played. So it doesn't get any other layers of defense from the Ascendancy, unless you consider insane offense as a defense, which I do. So, you know, if you're okay with like a rare death due to a misplay, or if you're a god gamer that doesn't misplay, Elementalist is a no-brainer for softcore. For hardcore, I do think it's extremely viable, but you'd probably want to do whatever you can to try to get a little more life on the tree or on your gear, but I still think it'll be widely played in hardcore. I'm actually kind of surprised that there aren't at least a few of the big racers that are kind of giving it a look or two, but you know, just you can't ignore the damage output and the speed that you can level. However, it would be my last choice personally for hardcore, as I am not a god gamer. So it's just like a recap in the notes here. Pros: insane damage. Cons: no extra layer defense at about 10 to 15% less HP. And then just overall rankings, right? Damage 1 by a lot. Speed to maps, it's the fastest, slightly faster than Heirophant, just due to the fact that you get Ignite at normal lab, and then either insane damage with shock or exposure. It's just really quick. Everyone's leveling Stormblast Mine and Armageddon Brand. You really can't beat those two, both of which Heirophant and Elementalist excel at. So, but yeah, if I had to rank one, I think Elementalist a little better. Tankiness, rank 3, but it's still pretty damn tanky, right? Softcore, rank 1, undeniably, just insane damage. Just kill the boss before he kills you, easy. Hardcore, rank 3, still very, very viable though, in my opinion. Let's move on to the Heirophant, or the Hairy Infant, as Steel Mage likes to call it. I will just start by saying that generally, I think Hyro is kind of bait for the average player, and I'll explain that shortly. But from a softcore perspective, I don't know. You're essentially trading away more than twice as much damage. This is 2.6 million, which is still an insane amount, right? Don't get me wrong. Like, to me, that's huge. Like, I would kill for a character in SFHC that is 2.6 million damage or DPS, but you're trading away more than twice as much damage for 4 endurance charges, an extra totem that really just gives you a little more flexibility, and like 300 life regen. And that's kind of, to me, like, I don't think that's a fair trade. I think you take the damage every time if you're on softcore. Worst case scenario, you lose a little XP, you lose a portal. You know, it is what it is. I wouldn't really consider playing Heirophant in softcore. Also, if you were trying to make a more defensive character, like a boss killer or something, the defensive options at Heirophant pale in comparison to the champ. So I would really just not recommend Hyro in general for softcore. Unless you're... Nah, I actually can't really think of a reason to play Heirophant in softcore. As far as hardcore goes, This seems to be the most popular choice among SFHC raiders that are planning to run EA. And the reason for this is because it's so much faster to maps than Champ, right? But still offers some decent defensive options. Again, Templar, you're just going to blast through the game with Storm Blast Mine and into Armageddon Brand. It's just the absolute meta for SSF, right? Which Duelist cannot do. Duelist, you got to do some weird steel skill stuff into EA at like 28, and it's pretty slow. Realistically, Hierophant's going to hit maps in about 2 hours faster than Champ, which for players who are in a race that lasts for anywhere from 24 to 48 hours, 2 hours is massive, right? And also, much to my amazement, God gamers apparently don't need Fortify to kill the Feared, which I think is kind of crazy because I definitely do. So yeah, that's why I think Heirophant is very widely talked about, but kind of just priority to the guys who are racing. So let's just do a quick recap here. Pros, 4 endurance charges, 350 life regen plus 1 totem, which does help with the fuse count when your attack speed, when you're kind of just getting to maps and your attack speed is still a little lower, but the champ catches up really quick and the damage is pretty comparable. You can see here, attack rate is a little bit lower than the suggested because they do have that 1 extra totem. Cons, just scaling, right? End game scaling. You're not going to get nearly as much damage as the Elementalist, and you're not going to get nearly as much defense as the champ. Rankings, damage, rank 2, it's just a little bit better. I think it does maybe 200, 150 more DPS than the champ, which is really not even noticeable when you're talking about this much damage. Speed to maps, again, rank 2, just slightly slower than the Elementalist because of the really strong Ascendancy notables that the Elementalist does get, but it's still top tier. Tankiness, rank 2, right? It's either you get your charges, which are pretty nice. You get 350 life regen, again, really nice, but it doesn't compare to Fortify and Skitterbot Chill that the champ get. And then softcore rank 3, like I said, that might surprise some people. I think if you're obviously, my recommendation for softcore is Elementalist, but if you're trying to make a boss specific character, play a champ. If you're trying to get that extra layer of defense and you're not worried about just zooming. Hardcore, this is simple, right? And this is kind of the point that I'm trying to drive home here. Heirophant is rank 1 if you're racing, and it's rank 2 if you're not. I'll kind of touch on this point again later, but I think this is the most important thing for people to realize, because you're hearing a lot of streamers talking about Heirophant being the choice, and it could be if you're racing, right? So let's move over to the champion here. This is personally my champion. The champion is my champion. This is what I will be playing for sure. But for softcore, I think this is definitely kind of overkill. But like I said, that's fine if you want to play a character that you can comfortably learn boss mechanics on without losing too many portals or too much XP. Generally, though, I think the 2 to 3x damage modifier that Elementalist has is actually more safe than Fortify if you're kind of newer to fights and just trying to farm loot and not really focused on mastering boss mechanics. But if you want to get in there and take a couple of shots and figure out where you need to stand, champ is definitely, it could be a fun option for softcore, but I'd still recommend Elementalist. For hardcore, so this is a simple question, right? Is a few hours lost time getting to maps going to make or break your league? If the answer is no, I would 100% recommend champ. I get extremely attached to my characters, and I don't want to lose them, so I plan on competing against other champions, right? Not other Hierophants, with focus on just seeing as much of the new content as possible, which I need my character to do, right? So who knows, maybe these new bosses that they add are gonna just absolutely slap, and Fortify is gonna, all the champs will rise up because the Hierophants get one shot and the champs don't, could happen. So that those extra 2 hours that we spend mapping will help out in the long run. So recap here, pros, these are the specific things that they get. Fortify, a little bit additional armor. I mean, if you look at the mitigation, Phys mitigation is actually lower than the Hierophant, just because of the fact that it's not factoring Fortify, so overall mitigation to both is much better. But Heirophant does get the endurance charges, right, which are pure phys mitigation. So, but the champ does get some additional armor. No accuracy requirement is really nice. It does kind of make for some weird situations. You do kind of want to spam your frenzy a couple times at the beginning, just make sure you've got the curse up on them, because the taunt obviously doesn't go into effect until you hit them. So if you miss the first shot, you're not going to be getting the bonus damage, and he's not going to be cursed, which are really big. And then another thing that I don't think a lot of people really talk about as much, but the Skitterbot's agility is huge. Yeah, really underrated. Cons, obviously less offensive scaling than Elementalist, but still very solid damage, right? I think the Heirophant was 2.6, it's 2.47. You know, it's close. It feels very similar to the Heirophant. One other thing, actually, real quick, just wanted to go back. I probably could have edited this in, but I'd rather not. The totem placement speed, right? Like, this is, don't get me wrong, this is noticeable, but it's not enough. Like, if you jump between the two characters, like, you might notice it, but it's not that big of a deal. I would say that mapping and damage wise, like, if the Hierophant out of a 10, if the Hierophant's a 10 out of a 10, then the champion's like a 9.7 out of 10, 9.7. So just, you know, don't get baited by that either. Anyway, you can tell I'm a champ simp, right? Damage, rank 3, it's very slightly less than Hyro, but you gotta rank them. Speed to maps, rank 3. This is significantly slower though, right? Like 1.5 to 2 hours slower for speedrunners. Now, when we're leveling tomorrow, we are going to have precise technique, which will make it a lot better, but it's still going to be at least an hour to an hour and a half behind. Again, I think, I don't know if 40% more damage actually makes up for that much time, but, you know, we'll see, because there's some awkward swaps you have to make. Early on, EA just kind of really weird, but this will definitely help, right? But I don't think it's enough for the racers that are really trying to push to persuade them to go champ. Tankiness, rank 1 by far. Fortify, Skitterbot's chill again, this is so big. Softcore rank, I put this at rank 2 just because I believe if you're not playing an Elementalist for whatever reason, if you want to make a boss killer, there's no reason to look at the Hierophant, just go Gladiator. And Hardcore, so again, very simple. If you're not racing, it's rank 1. So yeah, that's pretty much a wrap on that. I just wanted to kind of clarify, the Hyro hype is really specific to people who are competing in the race. And when I say competing, like, I don't necessarily mean competing against Darky, right? Because obviously there are only a few people in the world that are capable of doing that. But competing in a race can also mean competing against like a personal goal, you know, a top 10 class, top 100 class, first kill on a specific boss, like whatever it is. So just keep that in mind when you make your decision. This video is just designed to help you make your decision, and at the end of the day, it's important to just play what's fun for you. So that's it. Thanks for watching, and have fun in 3.70. This is going to be the league, boys. I can feel it. All right, catch you later.